Hey, Omega.
Yes.
So, they announced the WWE packages for WrestleMania 30, and they go on sale next week, I think.
Is that right?
That is correct. So, apparently, on the Uber package, the package that's like the Royal WWE WrestleMania New Orleans package, you get this exclusive meet and greet with celebrity chefs and WWE superstars, and they cook you dinner, essentially, and you get to taste all this New Orleans food. Pretty cool, right?
Doesn't sound too bad.
Too bad it's going to turn into a heel promo that Ryback comes in, eats everything, and then puts some random fucking tech guy through a table. Let's start the show. Everybody, welcome to Rugged Series number 85. My name is Gunner, and that is Omega BR.
My Uber package does not come with greet, but it does come with meat.
I'm sure Yankum would like you to feed him more. Speaking of Yankum, he's packing meat over there into your, well, actually not packing meat, but packing sound into your tubes. That's your ears. Our wonderful sound producer, Mr. Yankum, DDS.
I think it's time we stop with the bad innuendo.
How bad your innuendo. So let's get started with something completely unexpected. The news! Alright, the official pay-per-view buy rates for WrestleMania 29 has been revealed. The number? 1,039,000. Way lower than what they thought. Extreme Rules did 231,000, and Payback did 186,000. Not bad for, whatchamacallit, B pay-per-views. Vince McMahon called it a lousy quarter, but was confident things would pick up with the new international deals, more sponsors looking their way, such as Kraft and Doritos, and the expected success of Total Divas, which has actually been a success, surprisingly. AnalystRatingNetwork.com via Daily Political reports that Zax has downgraded World Wrestling Entertainment from a neutral rating to an underperform rating in a research note issued last Friday to investors. The article also noted that Stephanie McMahon-Levesque sold 114,972 shares of stock on the open market yesterday for an average price of $10.39 a share and a total transaction of $1,194,559.08. That 8 cents is key, yo. She now only retains 51,945 shares. Technically speaking, this means that everyone's going through a downtime, because TNA just went through some shit, and WWE is apparently going through some shit, so, I mean, what do you guys think?
Well, they're hardly gonna go out of business over this less than stellar expected number for WrestleMania, but I'm kind of reminded of the story. I think it might have been Snitsky, who apparently once said in a backstage meeting, he questioned why they were trying so hard to try and, raise ratings and everything when WrestleMania had just sold out. Something like that. And, anyway, the sentiment being, WrestleMania, over 1 million, that's good, but it's not really great. And especially when you factor in the fact that, it was supposed to be the big Cena-Rock rematch, we had Lesnar and Triple H, we had, these other matches that, and it just goes back to the point that they kind of take WrestleMania for granted.
I'm kind of not surprised. They didn't do the number they were expecting to do, but I thought it'd be a little more than what it was.
I think that number includes all the international buys. I think domestically the show only did about somewhere between 600 and 700,000. So, you know. And you consider these other shows like Payback, which, you know, does less than 200,000, then, you know, it's kind of like the start building the interest.
But that's standard for a pay-per-view that's important.
Yeah, but it used to be better.
10 years ago, when the entire wrestling industry was in a boom, I mean, come on.
Well, but even since then, it started to drop off. And, you know, Payback, none of us were really that impressed with Payback in the first place, and that's kind of the problem. Anywho, speaking of things that never change, Kurt Angle was actually arrested and charged with DWI following the Impact Wrestling taping last week in Wise County, Texas, his fourth alcohol-related arrest in 6 years. He was released on $2,000 bond and revealed on Twitter that he will be entering a rehabilitation center, which he entered Monday, and that TNA has been helping him. Meanwhile, DirecTV decided to drop the TNA One Night Only pay-per-view series, presumably after low sales, instead replacing the TNA 10 reunion special that debuted this weekend with Up the Skirt, Thongs Revealed. Meanwhile, Dixie Carter answered her first batch of the hashtag #AskDixie questions, among them whether she would sign Bill Goldberg, to which she replied they would love to work with him. So, up the skirt, thongs revealed. In a day and age when you can have literally thousands of pictures and videos with the click of a mouse for free, they think is more financially viable than the TNA One Night Only pay-per-views.
And they're probably right. I mean, given the choice, porn or TNA, which would you choose?
But wait, isn't TNA porn? I mean, with the loose description of porn, I mean, it's supposed to be something that's grotesque. You know?
I believe it was a Supreme Court justice who said, I can't define porn, but I know it when I see it. TNA is not porn, because porn gets you excited. TNA never gets you excited.
But some people like it like that.
If I may interrupt for a second and to talk about Kurt
like
Angle
Omega
for a moment, Mr. Kurt Angle, you know, he's in rehab, which is probably good. You know, I don't think he's a raging alcoholic, but he is a very intense person. He's probably needed something like this for a long time, quite frankly.
I'm not saying he's an alcoholic. But he's an alcoholic.
I'm just saying he's had 4 DUI arrests in 6 years. How many times do you think he did it and didn't get caught?
Well, okay. But my point is, if alcohol was his only problem, I mean, he probably has other things, you know what I mean? Rumors of pills and stuff like that.
And on the hashtag AskDixie thing, let's please note that Bill Goldberg question was not the most interesting thing to come out of those Ask Dixie hashtags. The the flood of trolling that invited was the most interesting thing about it.
Which you engaged in, you Yagam.
Actually, no.
Well, really, that should tell them something, I think, you know. It's not just idle people having fun. It's a lot of people bringing up, not in the most constructive way, but bringing up certain issues.
So, speaking of certain issues, WWE.com is reporting that 20-year-old Sheppo Sakabi pleaded guilty in court after his attack on Randy Orton at a South African live event. He was ordered to either pay 500 rand fine or spend 30 days in jail. Apparently, Sakabi, who trains in kickboxing and quit his job to attend the event, is a wannabe wrestler known as Josie the Wrestling Machine, and wanted to make a name for himself. He also suffered a black eye when Orton kicked him as he was being dragged away. He cut a promo after the event on Randy Orton about the event, and let me tell you something. The incident in South Africa is going to say, well, pretty much down there and, well, buried, essentially, because holy crap. Did you guys see that video?
Yeah, he had a good 10 seconds to just kind of stand there and size Orton up before he gave him the old standard, you know, drop to the knee, hand in a balled into a fist, you know, cranked up, low blow.
You'd swear it was like 1998 or something, because, you know, that is the most effective way to punch some guy in the balls, with your forearm.
Let's just be clear, though. We here at Smark Snark and Woo Get Serious, we do not condone punching people in the dick. Punching people in the dick is wrong. We do condone punching people in the dick if they deserve it. However, like Income does from night to night. You don't punch people in the dick. Just don't do it.
This is beginning to sound like an episode of The Simpsons.
Oh God.
Fuck.
See, I wonder if it really will give him a name, because, you know, in those other lands, you know, kayfabe is alive and well, you know. I mean, the people of India really do see the Great Khali as some kind of super, you know, basically the John Cena, what John Cena really is. And I think part of that might have to do with the fact that I do believe they edit matches down there to show him always winning, but I digress, you know. We'll see if Hosey ever stakes a claim in the ludicrous South African wrestling.
He'll go wrestle the Great Power Uti in a tag team against Super Domino and Super Festus.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh dear God!
That would do.
Let's move it quickly.
Worst job interview I've ever heard of.
So, speaking of kayfabe being alive and well, there are some people questioning why WWE NXT Women's Champion Paige is being kept in Florida, seemingly because of the unwritten rule about not wanting anybody under 21 on the road, while JoJo Offerman of the hit new show Total Divas is only 19 years old, and obviously she's on the road, and not even really doing anything. Regarding JoJo's relationship with Justin Gabriel on the show, apparently the storyline is that Gabriel will take advantage of her naivete, and this could mean a character change for Gabriel, perhaps a heel turn. I should have said, speaking of South Africa. God.
Yeah, you totally blew that one. I don't know why they would keep her in Florida, and well, I guess because JoJo's not actually doing anything. It's not like she's actually on Raw.
They're just on the television show. They're just on the television show. They're not really doing anything particularly. However, this isn't a question of legality. It's the question of, well, can we go out and drink with these people, every night? And they haven't had a teenager basically in the company on the road since Kelly, I think. Could be wrong.
Yeah, that's the main kind of deterrent. Not necessarily anything about Paige herself, And I kind of wonder if that's really the real reason anyway, because Paige is doing very well down there, and presumably on the fast track to being brought up. But you look at the Divas situation right now; they're kind of in the middle of fitting all this Total Divas garbage in there, and then they have the other stuff with AJ, Caitlyn, and Layla. So where Paige would fit in with all that, I'm not sure.
And, as far as Justin Gabriel taking advantage of JoJo being naive, God damn it, WWE. Just God damn it.
What?
No! Just no! Why? Give me a good reason why this should happen.
Because every guy has the dark side.
Okay, and they're going to do what with it?
Have him feud on Superstars until he gets released.
Exactly. They're not going to do... why even bother at this point? It's not like they're going to do anything with this guy. And I'm definitely fucking complaining about that because he's really good. I just... Ugh.
Speaking of ReviewJournal.com is an article up on former WWE star Rico Costantino, who was fired months ago from his job at Taxi Cab Authority, a law enforcement officer, after a video surfaced of him doing a wrestling match while he was on light duty restrictions for a non-work related injury. Oh, that's entertaining. Rico has won his job back with full pay and benefits. Good job, Rico. Rico suffered a serious knee injury when playing beach volleyball and had to go on light duty on August of 2012. The video that got him in trouble was from a Future Stars of Wrestling event in Las Vegas. That sounds like the guy who broke his leg while he was climbing up a ladder, and then waited 3 days, and then went to work, and then jumped off the second story, just to fall down, just to break his leg again, so that he can get the workers' comp.
Well, not really. Because here's the thing. Whenever they called him in and they were like, hey, you were wrestling a match while you were on light duty restrictions. If he was smart, he would have said, wrestling's fake, right?
Exactly. Get him with the old kayfabe right to the side of the head.
Just be like,
well, if he was supposed to be on injury leave, and then he's doing something like wrestling, then I could see the point. But
see, if he was doing 450 splashes, I'd have a problem. If he was out there being a valet, I mean, I don't have a problem exactly because it's Rico and he was a valet, so that kind of makes sense. Billy and Chuck, anyone?
I can't even remember this guy, to be perfectly honest with you.
Rico? You mean the guy that's Fandango without more gay and more makeup?
Rico.
2000, early 2000s?
Oh, okay, yeah. Sort of blanking, but I'll look him up later.
Wow.
It happens. I've had a rough day.
he likes it rough. Speaking of...
No!
Let's wrap it up here. There's talk of doing a special Raw where SmackDown would represent the first hour, main event would represent the second, and Raw would be the third, each with a different look and announcers. Well, that seems pretty pointless. Former WWE developmental diva Christina Crawford, the sister of Alicia Fox, is now a cheerleader for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, featured on the cover of their new calendar. The Call, featuring David Otunga, was rented at a kiosk in Colorado in July to make 3 billion movies rented at Redbox, and Kane will reprise his role from the Redbox pioneer See No Evil for the sequel, See No Evil 2, directed by the Soska sisters. First movie I ever rented at Redbox was See No Evil.
I don't even remember what the first movie I rented at Redbox.
It was only $1.
I like Redbox to an extent, but it's like I have to figure out when to return the movie, so I'm only charged $1. Well, obviously, but it's what time during the day is the question.
The day after, a day from when you rented it.
The day before when you rented it?
You realize that if you, I believe it's like 9 o'clock the cutoff time. If you don't return it by 9 o'clock, they charge you for another day.
Okay, so
even if you've rented it at 9 a.m. or something like that.
So then it's 9 p.m. the next day. Like, I don't see what the problem is. Like, figuring...
And
it's pretty straightforward to me. That's when we do the show.
Just whatever you do, don't forget it for a month or you'll end up owning it. I found that out the hard way.
And for like 5 times what you would pay for it at Walmart.
Actually, now that I think about it, we never start the show on time, so I could see how that would maybe be a problem for you.
It's just confusing because I forget. You see. But
Okay, well, I've forgotten calculus.
I've forgotten Christina Crawford.
Who?
We mentioned her in the news.
Oh, is she
who is Christina Crawford? Now you're just looking at the news and playing dumb.
I don't know what. She was somebody's sister, right?
Alicia Fox's.
Who's Alicia Fox?
Sit, heel down.
But no, seriously, who's Alicia Fox?
Who's Alicia Fox?
When was the last time she was on TV? Seriously.
A couple weeks ago?
It's been
a couple weeks ago she had a sweet suplex.
She's awesome. But I still refuse to care until they give her a Pam Grier gimmick.
She's not awesome, I'm sorry. She's mediocre, to be completely honest.
Right,
I like
she's
her.
mediocre, but
She's
imagine how awesome she would be with some karate training and a Pam Grier gimmick. Tell me you wouldn't fucking love that.
Mediocrely awesome. Is there such a thing?
It would be blaxploitation, bro.
And?
Imagine the shit Vince would get from that. Hell, you'd have what's-his-name lining up around the block with a bunch of protesters.
Are you seriously going to sit here and tell me that, like, Dolomite and,
Yes, that was Vince, ladies and gentlemen.
If I can be serious for a minute.
So anyways, that's it for the news.
And we're going to get into that. Now it's time for the 15-minute time limit. This week on the 15-minute time limit, you're going to discuss a little thing that was brought up on Raw this week. So, the promo that Daniel Bryan cut was the typical, smart promo. I am a wrestler. I like wrestling. I am not an entertainer. This is not entertaining, etc. And John Cena saying, well, it doesn't matter how much you wrestle because I've been on top and I've done this and I've done that, and the reason why I wouldn't wrestle for anybody else isn't because I have money, it's because I love the WWE. Bullshit. 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 Excuse me. He'd wrestle for his father.
let's get it out of the way real quick here. John Cena is an asshole for the things he said about wrestling. Yes, he is. Because him shitting on people that work their asses off and wrestle in bingo halls and VFWs and high school gymnasiums because they fucking love wrestling. For him to shit all over those people, I want to stab him in the eye. And I know, no, I'm not even gonna fucking qualify that with anything. I want to stab him in the eye.
I go on record as saying that would be the second worst job interview I'd ever heard of in my life.
The first was the time that you tried to apply to be a fluffer on that movie set.
No, I was talking about that guy from Argentina who Randy Orton kicked in the face.
Yes, Argentina.
South Africa, same hemisphere at least.
South Africa, same difference as Argentina. Can we please get the prices right, Failhorn?
Hemisphere!
It's not in the same hemisphere, you fucking
Yes,
tard.
it is actually. Yes, it is actually.
What? Argentina? Well, okay, the southern hemisphere.
South of the equator, yes.
You're an idiot. I would just like to remind you of that.
Well, I thought he was talking about eastern and western hemispheres.
All right, moving right along.
Moving right along. The real point of this conversation is to actually discuss the points that were brought up. Is it better? I mean, if you look at, Daniel Bryan and John Cena's careers, is it better that John Cena, who's been on top of the business, on quote-unquote on top of the business for the past 10 years, has he had a better career as opposed to Daniel Bryan, who worked his ass through the indies, did a whole bunch of stuff overseas, made himself basically a legend on the independent scene, but WWE wasn't really his thing until he did everything else. I mean, really, who has the more quote-unquote legitimate career? And that's really what I wanted to talk about tonight. So, what do you guys think?
Well, listen, here's how it really is. If it doesn't really matter how good you are in the ring, the issue they're kind of skirting around. When, Bryan talks about how he came up from all these scum holes, and Cena talks about how he's beaten all these greats in the ring. I mean, well, first of all, as somebody who knows how it all works, it is a little bit. It does kind of get in the back of your mind how neither one of them is really the best in terms of who they've beaten or who they've wrestled. You know what I mean? Because it's not a real competition. But what we're really talking about here is you get to the top of the WWE and really any wrestling company because the people who have the book write your name at the top, and that's basically what it is. And if you want to talk about legitimacy, well, John Cena pretty much does have the goods in terms of great body, great look, and depending on the audience you're talking about, a great promos, great personality, great in-ring presence. I mean, if he was just objectively completely awful to everyone, he wouldn't be at the top. But there is a reason he's at the top. It's because he's great at playing the hero, the person people can look up to, the person, and that's, whereas Daniel Bryan, he's not the biggest guy, he's not the best guy to put on a cereal box or anything, but yes, he is a guy who he's very skilled in the ring, and not just with submissions and such. He's very good at, you look at some of his performances in the last 2 months, the way he's running around, the way he he basically controls an entire six-man tag. That's why he's been noticed, and that's why he's finally back again in this spot of being the center of attention, the audience, yelling his catchphrase, even though it's not that hard to make up a catchphrase. Especially one that might be the most commonly said word in the English language. But anyway, basically, what I'm saying is, if you want to talk about who has the better career, I think it's kind of hard to say, quite frankly. I mean, Bryan's the easy answer because he is more of a traditional wrestling success story in terms of his actual ability to put on a wrestling match. But Cena, he didn't just take this ball and, take it for granted. I mean, he's the guy who's out there every day. Try out 3 different cities a day, going here, interviews here, Make-A-Wish there, And so, I don't know. It's actually kind of hard to say, is my argument.
Well, that was the whole point of the argument, and once again, Omega rides the fence, like a little bitch.
Ouch.
But, Jester, what do you think?
Oh, well, I can be very old school and very old-fashioned sometimes. I would say that Daniel Bryan, pretty much to me, has the better career because he has been out there, quite frankly, literally kicking his own ass from one bingo hall to VFW to the next day again and again and again, 10 years in the indies, building his craft, learning how to do things, being a head guy in the ring, controlling the match even when he's on the apron waiting for the tag. I mean, this man has built up such an impressive record all around the world that if Vince didn't hire him, we'd be thinking that Vince really, really, really needed to be checked into the old folks' home or just, replaced by Triple H or Steph or even Shane. I mean, it is way past time that, somebody with legitimate wrestling skills and who loves the sport, who has been, excuse me, I'm almost derailed, but not quite, who has been loving the sport and training himself hard and training himself for success can be at the top of our industry, at the top of the WWE. And yeah, he's not an Adonis, he might not be the best looking guy, but you go back in history and even the guys who were fat and horrific, people still, physically, people still remember them because what they did in the ring and how they loved wrestling. And I think, even though you're going to say I'm a little bit nuts about this, Bryan Danielson, or Daniel Bryant, is a modern-day Haystack Calhoun in that way.
I agree with you, and I understand what you're doing now. If you would close your mic, because I'm totally hearing an echo.
Sorry.
Is it still there? It is. Technical difficulties.
For me or for you?
Just shut your fucking mic off.
Your button's pushed, bro.
Oh my damn. It's my system. Hang on.
So, while we have this echo,
Hello?
now batting for the New York Yankees, Mega Beyond.
And now you just sound like a fool.
Yeah, now it's over. Alright, if I have to pick, I think I'm going to say, and this might not be a popular answer, but I think I'm going to say Cena. Because, ultimately, whether you like it or not, in business, in sports entertainment, in wrestling, anywhere really, you succeed based on who wants you to succeed. And Cena, for better or for worse, found a way to make people want him to succeed. Whether it was just rapping a freestyle on a bus and Stephanie overheard him, whether it was, getting all of these sick dying children to want to see him as their one wish in this world. You know, I don't think there's any doubt that Bryan's the better wrestler. But in terms of who's had the better career, wrestling career, and again, we're talking about WWE here.
We're not talking about WWE here, because that's completely unfair. If we were talking exclusively WWE, Daniel Bryan wouldn't even be in the same breath as John Cena. I mean, come on. Seriously, he hasn't... I mean, he's in the same position that Punk was in 2011 when Punk dropped his pipe bomb. You can't sit here and think for a second that Daniel Bryan holds up a candle to... Daniel Bryan's WWE career holds up a candle to, you know, Cena's WWE career. However, Bryan Danielson, and you see what I did there, basically that's a completely unfair judgment, because the question is it better that someone will have a career outside of the WWE, and then towards the end of his time, when he's honed his craft, when he's actually practiced, when he's actually done, you know, he's paid his dues on the outside, like everybody else should, in my opinion, and you see where I'm going with this, is that better than being handpicked from a factory in South California, and pulled up and given a gimmick where you're completely robotic, and then suddenly you start rapping, and suddenly you get hot? I mean, I would argue that Cena has the better WWE career, but I can't argue that Daniel Bryan has the better doesn't have the better wrestling career overall.
Well, let me put it this way. If this makes sense, I think Cena is more successful, but in terms of a wrestling career, then I would agree that Bryan has a better wrestling career. But I do believe that Cena is more successful.
I think the only way that Cena is the more successful is numerically speaking. Yankum hasn't weighed in on this, though.
We've only got about a minute or so left in the 15 minutes, so I'm just going to weigh in by saying, define successful. If you mean by money...
You're supposed to.
Well, stop interrupting, and I will... if you mean by money, then clearly Cena is the winner. But if you mean by experience and time, honing the craft, and traveling and learning from some of the best wrestlers all over the world, then clearly Bryan, or Danielson, whichever one you want to call him, is the winner there.
So basically, Cena's a better entertainer, and Bryan is a better wrestler.
I don't even know that I would agree with that, because wrestling is entertaining. The two aren't mutually exclusive.
No matter what Vince would like us to think, yes.
So basically, Cena is a better entertainer, but Bryan is better at wrestling.
Fine, Omega. Cena's a better entertainer in the way that...
Well, what's entertainment mean?
Well,
exactly.
I would rather see... I don't know. It's like a movie thing. Would I rather see somebody who's not as good as... Fuck beans.
Would you rather see Scary Movie 5 or Pacific Rim, which is going to be more successful, but which is going to be quote-unquote better?
But
anything would be better than Scary Movie 5.
I would agree with comparing John Cena to something like Scary Movie 5.
Well, that's the eternal kind of...
No. You should compare it to Fast and Furious 7. Because it's a guy... which is going to be really good, by the way, because it's going to have, what's his face in it? Jason Statham.
12 rounds.
Yeah, I'm going to go 12 rounds of the...
2.
12
Great,
rounds
now
part
all we
two.
need is
12 rounds,
Expendables
13
3.
through 24.
Rounds 13 through 24. Oh, that's terrible. Are we at the end of our segment here?
Yeah,
I
we've
would
got
hope
about
so.
4.5 minutes left in the segment. I don't have any music
So,
for you this week.
you don't... No. Okay. But you can go listen to, what's-his-face, Super Blizzard at...
Super Blizzard!
SuperBlizzard.com, and listen to all of his cool music. He's got a bunch of great stuff up there. He recently released an album back in June, I believe. Pretty neat stuff. I mean, the guy makes his own music. He's an indie guy, just like pretty much all of your other independent wrestling friends out there. And please go support him, because he made our theme song, and we are eternally grateful. Alright, so when we get back from the break, Yankum's going to take over the show, muck it up a bit. We're going to try a new game. It's going to suck. Per usual, we're all...
If it does suck, then you can blame Omega BR, because this particular game was his idea.
Right over the cliff, straight on till morning.
That's what your mother should have done with you.
Let's go to break.
Smarkstock.com. Check us out. We'll be right back.